All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. We are going to check out something new that popped up on my feed. This is from a small channel here called Basketball Universe, and the title is "The Side of the GOAT Debate That Everyone Misses." It's talking Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, and yeah, let's check out this video together and see what we're all missing according to Basketball Universe. Anyways, as always, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description and check out Basketball Universe channel if you like what you see. And yeah, subscribe to my channel and like and comment if you like my content as well. Here we go.
When you think you have heard it all, when you think you have heard every argument and every angle of this ongoing debate, I present to you a new twist, a new line of argument that could put this heated debate to rest for good. Before we get to that, let me first present the premise. Surely, you've heard many of the Michael Jordan supporters point to the 6 titles that he has over LeBron's 4 titles. I'll admit, that's a lazy argument,
That's
simply
just
because
one.
there are a
That's just one
variety
of
of
many.
factors to consider when a team wins a title.
See, a lot of people say like that's the only argument, but it's not. That's the argument that states that he's one of the greatest winners of all time, team player. Um, it's him as an individual that makes him also the GOAT. You combine the best individual player and one of the greatest winners of all time. Like other than him, you got Bill Russell. But who's going to win in a game on one-on-one? Bill Russell or MJ? MJ's going to win that. So that's what makes Jordan the ultimate. LeBron James isn't the better individual player, nor is he the better winner. So for me, the conversation's very simple. Very, very simple. LeBron doesn't own anything that it takes to be the GOAT.
There's the fact that it's a team achievement. Then you have to consider the competition, the era they played in, and injuries, just to name a few. However, have we really considered why Michael Jordan was responsible for so much team success? Let's put aside their individual greatness, numbers, and accolades for this discussion. Let's analyze their stylistic approach to the game and how much that had to do with winning. At the beginning of their careers, they were both stuck with rosters that did not have players who could create shots for themselves well. So the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers relied heavily on their star players to win games. At first, Michael's approach was to score as many points as possible.
Yeah, it was.
He had the energy and the skill to score at will while effectively guarding the other team's best perimeter player. In the middle of the 1989 season, he was moved from shooting guard to point guard. He essentially always had the ball in his hands. That allowed him.
He was basically LeBron James at that time. But yeah, a little more. I mean, I don't want to say more successful. His stats look better. Um, but yeah, he got to play point guard like LeBron usually does up until the last couple of years. He was dribbling the ball up the court. He was making the plays, and he was racking up. I mean, he looked like Michael Jordan combined with Magic Johnson. Let's put it that way.
To average 32.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists that year. In LeBron's case, he worked extremely well with Cleveland's read and react offense. He was blessed with excellent basketball instincts,
Nice
and he
pass,
displayed a
man.
great balance of taking over games and getting others involved. The offense revolved completely around him, and they were thriving. They even had back-to-back 60-win seasons in 2009 and 2010. This is where we stop and start to analyze their stylistic approach in the next phases of their careers. In Jordan's case, the Bulls named Phil Jackson as their head coach.
Yeah, the another big difference between LeBron and Jordan is Jordan, he proved that he was the greatest individual. So then he became a system, a winning system, and then kept winning and winning and winning. LeBron never fit into a system. He keeps getting his coaches fired. And if he can't get them fired, he leaves. So LeBron's system is to play his style and win or lose. That's basically it. And he goes from team to team and he plays that style. And that's why a lot of very, very famous and very, very, very good basketball players do not enjoy playing with LeBron James because they have to compromise their game in order to play his style, not the coach's style, not the system, but LeBron's style. Ask Chris Bosh, ask Kevin Love, ask a lot of guys.
And players such as Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant were starting to progress rapidly. In LeBron's case, he took his talents to South Beach and formed a super team with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
Yeah, and neither of these two guys got to play their normal type of game anymore. They tried for the first year, but then it didn't work, so they went LeBron's way, and you know they had to take a back seat.
In both cases, they were in win now situations. In both cases, they needed to adjust to make the most of the talent surrounding them. In both cases, they fell short of reaching their goals for the same reason. In part, they fell back to their old habits. In Michael's case, he averaged even more shots per game than the previous year. In LeBron's case, he did not adapt his game to Wade and Bosh well enough, and he deferred too much to his star teammates. The Miami Heat were trying to build some kind of offensive system where they can use their abundance of offensive talents to overwhelm their opponents. That explains why they were the only team to have two players that averaged over 25 points per game, since it didn't reach their lofty
Those two guys were a lot of fun to watch for a couple years there.
expectations. Changes needed to be made to their offensive approach. So they decided to play a half-court offense built around floor spacing for his three-point shooters. They decided to put the ball in their best players' hands to direct the offense. The system revolved around him, and everywhere he went, his teams were running some version of that offense.
Yep.
Did it work? Of course it did.
Sometimes.
4 titles and 10 finals appearances are all the evidence we
Did it work 4 times out of 20 years, 21 years? I'm losing track of this guy. Yeah, it works sometimes.
need. But he wasn't more successful than what Michael was doing in the 90s. In his case, Phil Jackson did not accommodate his playing style just because they had a bitter end to their season. The triangle offense that he implemented could only be successful if all 5 players worked in unison.
Yep, they doubled down.
Everyone needed to be involved. The system does not cater to one player. And to his credit, he bought into the triangle offense. Instead of making Scottie Pippen sacrifice his game as Dwayne Wade needed to do, he was allowed to grow as a player. In fact, his scoring and assist numbers went up for the next 2 years. In Jordan's case, his numbers continued to go down as the years went by, with a few exceptions.
Yep. So he did the opposite of what LeBron did. Once again, instead of going the more selfish route, y'all need to play my style. Oh, ball needs to go through me. Jordan decided, okay, what's going to be my role here? And on the offensive end, he controlled the game from the post. And not a lot of people have done that, especially guards. But that's what he did. He controlled the game from the post. And outside of that, he was a defensive monster. But he wasn't looking to just beef up his stats, which is the funny thing because he still ends his career with it's like 29.9 points per game, something like that, or 30 right on the money. Um, but the majority of his career, he actually held back because winning was more important to him than just, scoring 35 points a game because he could have done that for the majority of his career.
For example, his assist numbers went down in the late 90s because he was no longer bringing the ball up the court.
There he is.
He would direct
Controlling
the
it from
offense
the
from
post.
the post instead.
Hey, I like this guy.
This is more than just a personal preference of which style is better. History says that you can win a championship by revolving your offense through one player. But history also says that you can't be a dynasty that way.
Yeah.
From Bill
You also can't be a dynasty if you jump ship every time you lose, like Braun does. So the Miami Heat could be a dynasty. Who knows? But we'll never know because Braun left, stayed there for a couple years, lost and bailed on everybody. And the same thing in Cleveland, the first stint. If he would have stuck around, eventually gotten over the hump like the Bulls did, Um, he could have possibly built a dynasty with that team if everyone was happy and they wanted to keep going. But that's how it was with the Bulls. Everyone was happy, they wanted to keep going, and they kept winning. But you got to stick around for that. That's like rule number one. Stick around and build.
Russell's teams down to Steph Curry's teams. You have to be a
Yeah,
part of a system
Steph did it
for a
right
team
too.
to reach immortality. For that to happen, you need certain pieces around you to succeed. That we can't deny. But your star player also needs to give a little to allow the other pieces to shine within that system. And it just always seemed like LeBron's teams could never function when he wasn't on the court. Even when they had Hall of Fame players such as Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love, who has had multiple All-Star appearances. For this next stat, we are excluding the 2018-19 season when LeBron missed the playoffs. From 2011 to 2020, LeBron's teams went 15-34 when he didn't play.
It's funny because that narrative is switched. Now he is such a detriment to his own team that the Lakers have a better record without LeBron right now. When he doesn't play, the Lakers are crushing it, crushing it.
How can a team that has Kyrie and Love go a combined 4-23 from 2015 through 2017 when James wasn't on the floor? How does that work? That is because when you take away a player who is the entire system, the
Ouch.
team is going to be completely dysfunctional, even when the team has plenty of talent to make up the loss of one player. But that never happened with the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, it just shows the
When Jordan
dysfunction.
retired in 1993, the Bulls went from winning 57 games to 55. In 1997, when Dennis Rodman missed 27 games, Tony Kukoc missed 25 games, and Luke Longley missed 23 games, the Bulls ended up winning 69 games. And when Scottie Pippen missed the first 35 games of the 1998 season,
Yeah, that punk did that because he didn't want to get a surgery in the offseason. So he left Jordan out there all alone. Thankfully, Dennis Rodman stepped it up a bit. Tony Kukoc, but that was a dick move, man.
the Bulls won 24-11, which was the best record in the East.
So without Pippen, Jordan was still doing it. That's awesome. I remember some of those games too. Jordan looked young. Jordan looked like 10 years younger all of a sudden because he knew he had that extra responsibility. So he stepped it up. And then when Pippen came back, he brought it back down until the finals, that is, and the playoffs, because Pippen's his back injuries were just they were killing him. So Pippen was out there only for a couple minutes in the finals. And it was all up to Jordan again. So once again, Jordan elevated his game and brought him home. But that's the cool thing about MJ. He doesn't need to do it all the time if the system is functioning. But the second he needs to rise up, he's a freaking man.
This team was able to thrive no matter what situation they were in. And that is because Michael Jordan was able to find ways to be himself while playing within a system. It's not out of line to question if that's why LeBron's teams can never be described as juggernauts, except for a few seasons. Just think about this. Michael Jordan was a part of 5 60-win seasons. LeBron was a part of 3. Now
Uh-huh.
here's the crazy part. He only had one 60-win season after 2011 when he orchestrated
Wow. So the last 13 years, he hasn't won 60 games. Cool stat.
multiple super teams. Here's another interesting fact. If you were to mention the greatest teams of all time, your top 10 would surely include the 1996 Bulls, the 1986 Celtics,
Yep.
the 1987 Lakers, the
Showtime.
2001 Lakers, the 1971 Bucks, the 2014 Spurs, and the 2017 Warriors. Players such as Michael Jordan
Would we include the Bucks though? Didn't he? Didn't they just win one championship out there? I'm wrong. Anybody in the comments? But I'm pretty sure they only won one ring. But I guess that 1 year they're considered one of the greatest teams of all time. Interesting.
Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Steph Curry and Tim Duncan were a part of
Yep.
historic teams. Shouldn't it mean something that the supposed greatest player of all time is not included on that list? Not even one time out of 21 seasons? He is not an outlier. He is not a victim of circumstance.
How can LeBron be even on this in this debate? Because him talking about Tim Duncan just makes me remember Tim Duncan's got 5 rings. He was the leader of the team, a great leader, and yeah, he stayed on one team, got it done, built, led, and won 5 championships. Yet we're overlooking him, just like everyone's overlooking Kobe. Why? Why give it to the ring chaser who's failing miserably while chasing rings? It's embarrassing. Why give it to LeBron? Hmm.
This is all part of a pattern. There's no other way to explain that. His style of play has to hold some of the blame. If
He's
that is
going
the
after
case,
Chalmers.
his status as a GOAT needs to be seriously questioned. You don't have to believe that Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. Say what you want about his style of play, but you can't say the same about him. But what about you all? Why do you think LeBron's teams underachieved when he wasn't on the floor? Why isn't a LeBron-led team not mentioned as one of the 10 greatest teams of all time? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.
I agree. Because okay, if you hate Michael Jordan, cool, get him off the list. Not the GOAT. I don't agree with. Cool, let's do it. It's still not LeBron James. It still can't be LeBron James. He doesn't fit any of the criteria. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of this video. I thought it was a pretty cool vid. I'll probably check out some more stuff from Basketball Universe. Um, but yeah, go over there. It's a small channel. If you would like what you saw here, go support that channel and leave me a comment down below. What the hell is even to say? Who you got, Tim Duncan or Braun in the all-time list? Hmm? Who's the GOAT? It's neither of them, but you know, if you had a tier for GOAT, like a GOAT tier, who is it? Tim Duncan or LeBron? Or hell, Steph Curry. Steph Curry's right there with Braun, except for Steph Curry did it the right way and stayed home, built and led. All right, let me know between those three. Y'all know my choices, and I will talk to you on the next one. Peace out.